Welcome to a short video summary of the Sony ZD9. You can read the actual review via the link in the description or by clicking the info button at the top right of the screen. The ZD9 is Sony's new flagship Ultra HD 4K TV for 2016. As such, it includes features like high dynamic range, HDR10, as well as a wider colour gamut, and it also includes Android TV. It uses a full array backlight and is significantly brighter in terms of its peak brightness, more of which later. It comes in three different screen sizes, 65, 75 and 100 inches, and we're reviewing the KD-65ZD9, which is a 65-inch model obviously. That retails for £3,999. In terms of its design, the ZD9 looks very similar to the XT93 and XT94 that Sony have already released this year. However, when you look closer, you'll see the little touches that add an extra level of elegance to this particular television. So yes, it has a similar minimalist black design with 2 centimetre wide black bezel around the actual screen and the angled stand that the TV sits on. However, when you look closer at the stand, along with the brushed metal effect, there's also a very nice gold trim around the outer edge. And the TV itself has a gold trim around the outside of the chassis, giving it a nice little elegant touch that really makes it stand out from the other models that are currently available from Sony. In terms of the back of the TV, there's even some nice design features there as well. It has a kind of a grid structure that has two purposes. One, it makes it look nice from behind, and I think Sony are taking some design notes from Samsung here in terms of creating TVs that look attractive from any direction, sort of a 360-degree approach to their design. And so the ZD9 does actually look quite nice even from the back, although obviously I suspect you'll mostly be looking at it from the front. However, the reason for the grid structure is that it also hides removable panels, so you can't actually see them until you actually take them off. So there's actually a large panel that can be removed that hides the back of the stand and allows you to run cables through it. And there's also 3 other removable panels. And when you remove each panel, you'll find underneath them various connections. There's an inner panel which has connections for the inward facing inputs, which include 3 HDMI inputs. There's also the TV tuners. There's another panel which covers some legacy inputs. So there's one that covers the CI slot and also one that covers a SCART socket of all things. And then there's a final panel that covers the outward facing inputs. These are about 22 centimeters from the edge and include an extra HDMI input as well as USB ports. And as I said before, all the cables can be run through the stand at the back to create tidy cable management. And when you put all the panels back on again, you can't see the cables. It looks very attractive and it adds an extra level to the design. So overall, as you'd expect from Sony, it's a very well made, very well designed TV. In terms of controlling the TV, it comes with the new remote control from Sony. It has a sort of a rubberized feel on the front and these sort of low buttons. Some people like them, some people don't like them, but I kind of quite like it. I think it's a quite well designed remote control. It's nicely laid out, everything you need is there. And on the back, there's a sort of glossy black finish. It's comfortable to hold, easy to use with one hand, and I quite like it. TV also comes with 2 pairs of 3D glasses. And this is a nice change because these days you very rarely get 3D glasses with a TV, but it does come with 2 pairs of 3D glasses. As I mentioned, the ZD9 does come with Android TV, as do all of Sony's TVs this year, and it's the same basic platform. Some people like it, some people don't like it so much. I find that the actual platform itself is relatively good, easy to access as you go down through the various tiled layers. But what I find is that quite a lot of the features can be accessed in 2 or 3 different ways. It's as if there's 2 or 3 different systems sort of bolted together, and that sometimes makes it a little bit counterintuitive. So it's not ideal. Certainly there are certain aspects of Android TV that are very good, but I do find it sometimes to be slightly confusing. There's also a full menu system that you can access either via the action menu button on the remote control or again via the home button and through the Android TV system. Now, we reviewed this TV using our full calibration setup, so that means a Klein K10A color meter. We've also got the Meridio Fresco 6G pattern generator and Calman 2016 calibration software. We put all that together and then we measure the TV both in terms of its out-of-the-box performance and its calibrated performance. So starting with the out-of-the-box performance, this TV was actually pretty good. There was a little bit too much blue in the grayscale, particularly in the brighter part of the image, but it wasn't massive. The errors are still around about 3, some were even below, which is the visible threshold. So a pretty good out-of-the-box performance, and in fact using the 2-point and 10-point white balance control, very easy to calibrate, get rid of that excess blue, and then we had a very, very accurate picture in terms of grayscale, with errors all below 1. And the gamma was tracking our target of 2.4 very precisely as well. So overall, an excellent grayscale performance. In terms of the colours, the colour gamut performance was very good out of the box again. Slight error in terms of the white being pulled towards blue because of the excess blue in the grayscale. But overall, that was very minimal, and the colours actually tracked very closely to their targets. And then once we calibrated the grayscale, obviously white fell into place, that blue was removed, and it was even more accurate, which is just as well because, as with all other Sony TVs, the ZD9 does not have a colour management system. So once you calibrated the grayscale, that's about it in terms of calibration. But luckily, as with most Sony TVs, the colour accuracy was actually very good, even without access to a colour management system. In terms of the HDR performance, we actually measured the tracking against the OTPF. It was very close, excellent there. And the grayscale was also very good with nice equal amounts of red, green and blue across the whole scale. So its HDR performance was excellent. And in terms of its peak brightness measurements, we got 1,800 nits, which is by far and away the brightest TV in terms of peak brightness that we've measured so far this year. So although it's not the 4,000 nits that Sony were demoing at CES earlier in the year, still very, very bright. In terms of colour accuracy, pretty good. It was delivering 66% of Rec 2020 and tracking reasonably closely to its targets, although we have seen much better from other TV manufacturers, and in fact even Sony I think have been better in the past. It was a bit of a disappointment in terms of its HDR colour tracking. We thought it could have been a bit better, but overall it was a pretty solid HDR performance, particularly when we got on to actually watching HDR content like Ultra HD Blu-ray, and I have to say that the pictures look fantastic with very, very bright, nice impactful highlights and deep colours and saturated colours because of the wide colour gamut. Plenty of detail from 4K sources, looked excellent. In terms of standard dynamic range content, again, very, very impressive. The local dimming was excellent, the full array backlight really added to that. Good deep blacks, nice bright highlights, lovely accurate colours in terms of Rec 709, and good motion handling. All in all, an excellent performer in terms of its standard dynamic range content and also in terms of high dynamic range content as well. Superb performer with accurate natural colours, great blacks, good motion handling, very natural looking pictures, and a really, really great performer. And overall, Sony ZD9 is certainly worthy of highly recommended badge for delivering fantastic performance in terms of both standard and high dynamic range content. Thanks for watching.